NF. All right. So this was all about, if you know how to do it using CN, how do you do it with a file? It's the same thing. Just change the name of the stream. All right. Some of y'all, for some reason, put a period here. Why in the heck would you put a period there? Because I gotta say, you gotta give the function two arguments: the stream name and a string variable. What about this guy? What does this code produce? Well, if num is 2, we're going to say, oh my heavens, I made a mess here. I am sorry, y'all. This shouldn't be here. I hope y'all, it's not there. Okay. Optical illusion. Switch based on 2, go to case 2, and you do this. And what do? You keep going until you hit the break, or until you hit the end of the switch. There is no break here, so I flow into the next case. So the output is bad, followed by ugly. All right? Now, there are times when some of y'all don't understand. I mean, you should understand this from the logical standpoint of how this works. But you can also verify what you think just by taking this thing and just sticking it into some code and see what happens when you run it. And just executing it and see what happens. You see you get bad and ugly coming out because you do that. All right? What's next? Consider this code segment. What's the value of A? This is like the earlier problem that talked about reading the rent and the suite and all that stuff. You got to understand how reading works. If I'm reading a float, what's a float? A float is a number that may have decimal places. It doesn't have to. So when I read C, I pick up all of this. Then I read A. A is an integer. How much do I read? I read digits until I get something that's not a digit. So I get 14 for the value of A. And that's the value of A. All right, now, problem 9. What is this? This is an expression. I'm adding two things. What's the rule? When I add things, I have to look at data types. What's the data type here? It's a character. What's the data type here? A float. When the types are not the same, what do? We promote. We promote the character to a, what's this? A float. So we end up with a float. Okay? Technically, the answer is really a double, because decimal numbers are by default, decimal constants are by default doubles. Okay, supper time, so let me do one or two more. Now, a switch statement branches to a particular block of code depending upon the value of a numeric variable or constant. What does this say? Integer or floating point. And what do we say in class? A switch can only work for this kind of number, integer, not a floating point. All right? This question. When I say get line CN, what does it mean? It means read the whole line. Okay? Read everything. So what's the output? The output is exactly what you read, everything that you read. All right? But you got to show your spaces. 12. We're trying to see, can you evaluate these expressions? What did we learn last time? Well, the thing that you're supposed to know is that if we were working our way through this, we do the arithmetic first. So what we really have is 8 just go here. What we really have is this. 8 is less than 9, or 16 is greater than 20, and 8. We do that first. What's the next thing we do? Okay. Next thing we do is we do the relational things. 8 less than 9, what is that? True. Or 16 greater than 20 is false. And what is 9? 9 is true. So what do we have? We do this first. So we have true, or what's false and true? It's false. So what's true or false? True. All right, so that's how you go through the process of doing that. All right. And the answer is true. All right. Now here's where y'all lost your mind, because we did a couple of these in class and y'all just forgot what we did. Show the sequence of lines executed. I did not ask you to show me what the output was. So what's the sequence of lines? A program is by default sequential, so you start at the beginning. 1 followed by 2 followed by 3. I said separate these by putting a plus sign. So 1, 2, 3. What comes next? 4. What about 4? It's a decision. I have to execute the decision. What's the outcome of decision? Is cat less than dog? Cat is the word dog. Dog is the word cat. Is dog less than cat? No. Is that clear? So the consequence of the statement, we execute 4, but what's the consequence? Is a 5. Do we do the consequence? No, because the condition is false. Is there an alternative? The answer is no, because there's no else. So the if statement is over here, and we just continue execution at 6 and 7. All right? I would have allowed you to say, when I do statement 4, the result is true. So you can both say 4 must be a decision because the result of it was true. Oops, it's not true. It's false, isn't it? My bad. But nobody put it this way. I got to check my answer there. All right, let me quit. I'm halfway through, and I got to have my